We begin Be'ezus Hashem Yisbarach, the learning of Chok Yisrael for Parshas Mishpotim, Yom Shlishi, day 3. The Im Shlosh Eile Lo Yaseh, we're talking about the Amma of Riyah, and she didn't go free in 3 different ways, namely the Adain didn't marry her, do yid with her, he wasn't miyad her to her son, nor vehefta, nor did he help her to go free with girayin, with deducting the years that she already worked, because she didn't have money to free herself. Then v'yotza chinam ein kasev, then she goes out free in another way without money, and that is if she reaches the age of puberty. As Rashi tells, first let's do the Targum, v'im tlas ilan lo yavid la, v'sipok megan v'lo chesaf. Says Rashi, v'im shlosh eila lo yasala, im achas mishalosh eila lo yasala. If one of these 3 weren't done for her, or mahin hashalosh, what are the 3 things? They are yi'aden aloi, if he marries her himself, or libnai, or to his son, or yigara mipidyayin v'teitze, or he deducts the years that she already worked, and she purchases herself back and goes free. V'zelo ya'ada, he didn't marry her, libnai, not to him, nor to his son. She didn't have the money to redeem herself. Then she goes free in another way. It adds another way of exit to her, more than we find by an Ivri, a male. She goes out when she shows signs of puberty. She stays with him, with the owner, until she reaches puberty. Or if 6 years arrive before puberty, we know that she goes free. Whether a male or a female, you should work 6 years. So therefore, what is the extra thing over here when it says if the puberty arrives before 6 years, maybe she should go free when she becomes a bagwas 6 months later at 12 and a half in 1 day, and not at 12 years in 1 day. Therefore, it doesn't just say v'yatzachinam, it says v'yatzachinam ein kasev. Talmud ein kasev l'rabbis yitzias bagwas. If it would only say ein kasev, we would know she goes out free at 12 and a half in 1 day. And therefore, when it says v'yatzachinam, that includes that she goes out free even by puberty. If it would only say one, it wouldn't say both v'yatzachinam and ein kasev. V'yatzachinam just means ubapagris. Lekach nemer shneim, to tell me shaloi litem piskon pelabal, didn't lack like to say she only goes free at bagris, but she goes free 6 months earlier at puberty at 12 years and 1 day. Maka ish v'meis, a man that hits his fellow and he dies, mois yumas, is put to death. The yimche enesh v'yiktaline is ketala yisketel. Says Rashi, this is not the only time it says, first let's see the Targum, the yimche enesh v'yiktaline is ketala yisketel, I did that. Says Rashi, this is not the only time that it says murder in the Torah. Maki ish b'mei, says Rashi, kamak silvim nemer b'parshas reitzchem. There are many psukim about the subject of murder. Omashe biyodi lefarish lama bo kulam, and why they're all necessary. Afarish, Rashi says, I will explain what I am able to. Says that with such humility. Omashe biyodi. Maki ish b'mei, if you hit a man and he dies, lama nemer. Lefish nemer, it already says in vayikra v'ishki yaka kol nefesh adam, if you kill any soul, mos yumas. Shemeani, I would think when it says ish kiyaka, that even hakabel misa, even if you hit somebody without killing him, there would be capital punishment. Talmud leimer maka ish v'meis. It's only if the person dies. Ein a chayav el ba'koshel misa, with a murderous blow. V'im nema maka ish, and if it would say maka ish v'leim nema v'ish kiyaka, hayisi aymer ein a chayav ad shiyaka ish, only if you hit an adult male, because it says maka ish. So therefore, the pasuk says, how do you know you're chayiv if you kill a woman or a minor? Any nefesh, afilu cotton, afilu ish, even a minor, even a woman. I might think that even a minor that kills someone is given the death sentence. Only an adult. A minor is not put to death. Only a soul of that becomes a human. I might think any soul. I might think even if you hit a child that will not live, a non-viable child. A viable child, which is fit to become a man. Now the pasuk says, if you didn't lie in ambush, just Hashem arranged the person to come to his hand, and he killed him unwittingly. I will give you a place asher yonu shama that you're able to flee to, an ari miklat. Udalo kaman lei umin kadam Hashem is besali yedei va'ashvelach asra diyarak l'samon. Now Rashi over here says va'asher loy tzoda loy arav loy. He didn't lay an ambush for him. V'loy nischaven. He didn't intend to kill him. Now here Rashi says, don't think that tzoda means that you did not hunt, that it comes from a lashon of tzod sayid. Rashi says that's not pshat. Tzoda lashon arav, to lay an ambush. You ambushed my soul lekachta, to take it. Tzada is a lashon hatzod sayid, who hunts prey. Shetzedas chayas, because hunting animals ain't neifel hay b'poyel shala. You don't have a hay. The letter hay of tzada is not in its verb form. V'shem davar but tzayid, and its noun form is tzayid without a hay. V'zel shem davar by tzedia. Here, ambush, its verb is tzdia with a hay, or poyel shala, and its noun is suda. V'zeh poyel shel tzad. By to hunt, its verb form is tzad without a hay. And therefore I say pisrainai kitargumai. It means to lay in ambush, or the law command lay, and he didn't lay in waiting for him. Now Rashi says that Menachem disagrees with him. Or Menachem chigru b'chelik tzad sayid. Menachem attaches its meaning to be a lashon of hunting, but beinani maidalai, I don't agree with him. V'im yesh lechabroi be'achas memachlikus shel tzad. If you want to say that it has something to do with the root of tzad, nischabru b'chelik al tzad tinaseyu. From one angle, he lifted him, and it's not talking about a lashon of hunting, but angling, or tzida ora, where we shot arrows on the side, or milin l'tzad ilo'a yamalel, or what it says in Daniel in Aramaic, that he spoke words of blasphemy towards, so to speak, to the side of the Rabbeinu Shalom. As Rashi continues, Afkan asher loy tzoda, he didn't angle limtzu loy shum tzad misa, to find an angle of death. And even though on this one could think that it's not the right pshat, mikol makom lashon ayruvu, it's similar to the idea of ambush. Velikim ina liyada, says Rashi, and Hashem arranged it to be at his hand. Zimen liyada, arranged for this to happen, that he should kill him b'shoigeg. Lashon lo yisuuna elecha ra, it wasn't arranged to you any evil. Lo yu'unan l'tzadik kol oven, there won't be arranged for the righteous any mishap. Mis'anahu li, he arranged to me. Misdamein linsoy lo ila, he prepared to find some pretext against me. Now, why would the Rebbeinu Shalom do that? Why would the Rebbeinu Shalom arrange that he should kill him b'shoigeg? So Rashi addresses this. Well, Kim ina liyadai, v'lama teitzei zayis milafanav. Why would this happen from before Hashem? Hu she'amar David. This is what David HaMelech said. Kasha Yomer, David HaMelech, who had a chance to kill Shaul, would not kill Shaul, and he explained Kasha Yomer Mishal HaKadmoni, like the ancient one said a parable. Merisham Yetze Resha, from the wicked comes wicked, like we say. Migalgal Chayiv Al Yedei Chayiv, Mashal HaKadmoni, and a parable of that which is ancient to our Torah means that it's from the Torah, Shu Mashal HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which is the parable of Hashem, Shu Kadmoinoi Shel Olam, who is the one who is before all in the world. V'heichon Amra Torah Misham Yatzaresha, where does the Torah say, from the wicked comes out wickedness? Here it says it over here. Kim ino liyadai, and Hashem arranged it to his hand. Now, why would Hashem arrange that somebody should kill someone b'shoigeg? B'amei hakosim medaber. What is the pasuk referring to? So the Rashi says as follows: B'shnei bnei Adam, two people, echad harig shoigeg, ve'echad harig mezid. Reuven killed somebody b'shoigeg. Shimon killed somebody b'mezid, and both were without witnesses. There were no witnesses to testify, so therefore Shimon, who killed b'mezid, zeloi nereg, he wasn't executed because there were no witnesses. V'zeloi gila, and Reuven that killed somebody b'shoigeg was in exile. V'akadosh Baruch Hu mezamlum lepundik echad. He brings Reuven and Shimon together in one inn to a hotel. Zeh she'hareg b'mezid, Shimon, who killed somebody b'mezid, Yoshev Takas Asulam, was sitting beneath a ladder. V'zeh she'hareg shoigeg, and Reuven, who killed somebody b'shoigeg, Oila b'sulam, goes up the ladder. V'noifel, and Reuven falls down, al zeh she'hareg b'mezid, on the one on Shimon that killed somebody b'mezid, v'hargoi, and he killed him. V'edim edim alav, and witnesses testify, therefore testifying that Reuven killed somebody b'shoigeg, and they send Reuven to Galus. Nimsa zeh she'hareg b'shoigeg. Reuven that killed somebody originally b'shoigeg, Gaila, is now exiled. V'zeh she'hareg b'mezid, and Shimon, who killed somebody b'mezid, now got killed. Right? So Hashem evens the score. David HaMelech says, I'm not going to have that I kill Shaul, and I should be considered a Rasha that kills somebody else. V'samti l'cha makam, says Rashi, I'll give you a place. Even in the midbar, where there are no designated orei miklat, there's a place to flee. Ve'ezeh makam kolta, and what places did it flee in the midbar? Zeh machane Leviyah, the camp of the Leviyim. V'chiyazid ish al re'ehu, and if man plots to kill his friend, lahargoy, to kill him ba'arma, with premeditation, you should take him to die, even from my altar. And as first, let's see the Targum. Says Rashi, why does it have to say this? I might think that included in the punishment of killing is a doctor who killed somebody in surgery, or shliach bezdin she'emes b'malchus abam, or a shliach bezdin that killed someone while giving him the malchus, v'ov amakes b'nai, or a father that's disciplining his child by hitting him, v'rav ha'roides talmido, a rebbe that's disciplining his talmid, v'ashoigeg, or somebody that does it unwittingly, talmid loyma v'chiyazit, if he deliberately does it, v'loy shoigeg, and not unwittingly, lahargoi ba'arma, to kill him with premeditation, v'loy shliach bezdin, not a messenger of the court that gives malchus, v'roife, a doctor, v'roide b'nai, v'talmido, somebody is disciplining his son or his talmid, she'afal pi she'em mazidin, even though they meant to do what they did, ein marimin, it wasn't premeditated to kill him. May im mizbechi, even im haya kayin, even if he's a kayin, this killer, v'roitza lavad avoida, and he wants to do the avoida, tikachenu lamas, you shouldn't allow him to do the avoida, you take him to die. Now the pasuk says, one who smites his father and mother, making a wound, mois yumas, is put to death. Says Rashi, that if you hit your friend, you pay, you don't get death. If you wound a parent, that's a capital crime, but that's only if you make a wound. Aviv means father or mother. Ozeh. Mois Yumas, what kind of execution? Bechenek, with strangulation. Now, if you remember, we said that the Navi was telling them, Yirmiyah was telling them that they're going to suffer because after listening and freeing their slaves after 6 years, they took them back into servitude and they broke their bris with Hashem. So therefore, the Navi says, now you're going to be punished. And I will give over the men that broke the pact, that they didn't uphold the covenant, which they made before me, in the pact they used to cut an animal and walk in between, the calf that you cut in two, and you passed through the pieces and agreed to free the slaves. And therefore, Sari Yehuda, the officers of Yehuda, Sari Yerushalayim, the officers of Yerushalayim, Hasarisim, all the officers, Vakahanim, and the priests, V'chol Ama Oretz, and all the people of the land, Ha'ivrim bein Bisrei Ha'egel, who walked between the pieces of the calf to agree to free their slaves. And therefore, when you re-enslave them and force them into servitude, V'nasati oisam b'yad oiveyam, I will deliver you into the hands of your enemies, U'biyad mevakshe nafsham, those that seek your souls, V'oisan nivlosam l'machal oif, your corpses will be food for the birds, L'oif hashemayim, for the birds of heaven, U'lebemes ha'aretz, and for the animals on the ground. Ve'etzidkiyo melch Yehuda, and Tzidkiyo the king of Yehuda, ve'esarav and his officers, eten biyad oiveyam, I will deliver into the hands of their enemies, biyad v'vakshi nafsham, in the hands of those that seek their souls, biyad chel melech Bavel, in the hands of the army of the king of Bavel, ha'oilem aleichem, that originally left you because of the Egyptians. I will bring them back. I will give instruction. I will return the Babylonians to this city. They will battle it, they will capture it, and burn it in fire. And the cities of Yehuda I will make desolate, with nobody living there. And now Shlomo HaMelech tells us in Mishlei, Ritzayin Malachim, the desire of the kings. Kings, Rashi says over here, Ma'amalke Rabbanim, referring to the judges, Siftei Tzedek, the desire of the Dayanim are lips of righteousness. V'doiver Yeshaim Yehav, and those that speak straight, Yashar, not crooked, are beloved. Chamas Melech, the anger of the king, the anger of Hashem, is like Malachei Mavos, like angels of death. We have to steer clear of the anger of Hashem. Ish chacham, but a wise man, Yechaprena, could appease the anger of Hashem, teaching people how to repent and teaching people how to behave wisely. Ba'or pnei melech chaim, in the light of the countenance of Hashem, of the king, is life. That's what we say in the bracha of Sim Shalom. Barucheinu Avinu Kolanu ba'or panecha, with the light of your countenance, which the Siddur Mefurish says means b'panim soichakos, with Hashem's smile. Ki ba'or panecha l'nasatan lanu Torah chayim b'avos chesed u'tzedakah uvracha v'rachamim v'chayim v'shalom. So ba'or pnei melech, when the Rebbeinu Shalom shines his the light of his countenance upon us, is life. Uritzaynai, and when we find Hashem's favor, it's of Malkish. It's like the clouds of the second rains, which are life-bearing. So also, it's life-giving to find favor in the eyes of Hashem. Kino chachma, one who acquires wisdom, matayv, how good it is, meichoretz, it's more good than the finest gold. Of course, chachma is Torah, like it says, Knei chachma v'al timker, acquire wisdom and don't sell it. And it's better, tovli teres picha me'alfei zav v'chesef. U'kenois bina, and acquiring understanding is nifchar mikosef, is more precious than silver. Mesilas Yesharim Sur Meirah. The highway of the upright is avoiding evil. If you want to travel on the highway of the upright, they avoid evil. They avoid talking about other people. They avoid looking at what they're not supposed to do. They avoid sitting in company of leitzim. Shemer nafshay, one who guards his soul. How do you do that? Noitzer darkai. He is careful with his way. He's careful how he behaves. He's careful where he goes. He doesn't go into a bad environment because a person is mushba from their environment. And now today's adventure is the second parak of Masechtas Ksuvos. A woman that was divorced, that was widowed or divorced. Now she has to collect her ksuva. She says, B'sula Nasasani. He married me as a B'sula, and therefore I deserve to get paid 200 zuz. And he says, Loiki, not so. I married you as a widow, and therefore you're only entitled to have 100 zuz. Right? Because a B'sula gets kimoyar. Kimoyar is kama, reish, how much is 200, while almana is almana. She doesn't have 100 of the 200, she only has 100. So im yesh edim, if there are witnesses, sheyatsa b'hinuma, that she went out when she was getting married with a veil, v'roisha perua, and her hair was uncovered, so that's proof that she was a virgin, because that was the behavior of a virgin. Ksuvas masayim, she gets a ksuva of 200. Rabbi Yochanan ben Broikaimer, afkila kloyisroi, if there are witnesses that at the time they gave the children toasted kernels of wheat, which was also the derech of a basula, she gets 200. Oh, my dear Rabbi Yeshua agrees, but let's say Ruvain tells Shimon, so this field was your father's. Well, he doesn't have proof that it was his father's, but he says it's your father, was your father. But I bought it from him. So he's believed. Shuneman. Why? The mouth that agrees that it was his father's, otherwise we wouldn't know it was his father's. Therefore, if we believe that it was his father's, we also believe that he bought it from him. However, but if Shimon has proof that it was his father's, then Reuven is not believed to say he bought it without a shtar, without proof. Then if Reuven says, I bought it from him, unless he has a shtar, or unless he has a cheskas gimel shan that he used it 3 years without anybody protesting. Now the din is that when somebody presents a shtar, the witnesses need to be confirmed. They need to be authenticated. So Edim Sha'amru, the witnesses say, Ksav Yodenu, that these are our signatures. However, Avalanusim hayu, we were coerced to sign it. Ktanim hayu, we were minors at the time. Psuli Eidas hayinu, we were forbidden to testify. We were disqualified witnesses. We were Masachet Pekuvia, we were gamblers. We were Mafricha Yoinim, pigeon racers. Ariel and them under that believed. Because since we don't have a way to authenticate their signatures, so since we believe the only way the shtar is good is with their authentication, we also believe them when we say that they say they were minors, or they were gamblers, or they were coerced. However, but if we have independent authentication of their signatures, or their signatures are archived in the court and we could compare, and therefore we don't need their testimony, then they're not believed to say they were coerced or they were minors, then einoy neman. Let's say Ruvain and Chaim were both signed on a shtar. Ruvain says, this is my signature, and this is Chaim's signature. And Chaim says, Zeksav Yodi, this is my signature. Zeksav Yodi Shel Chavera, and that's Ruvain's signature. Harielo Nemana, because now on each signature there are 2 witnesses. Zeimer Ksav Yodi, if let's say Ruvain says it's my signature, Zeimer Zeksav Yodi, and Chaim says that's my signature, we need another witness. Tzrichel Mitzarf Imam Achar. We need another witness because we need 2 witnesses to certify each signature. Divrei Rebbe. The Chacham disagree. The Chacham say that a person is enough to certify his own signature. Each person, it's sufficient if he certifies his own signature. Now, again, the concept of a pesha also, who a pesha hitter, if a woman says, Eishes Isha Yisi, I was a married woman. Now, we have no proof that she was a married woman, but she admits that she was a married woman, Ugrushani, but I was divorced, even though she doesn't have a get. Nemenes, why? The mouth that developed that she was a married woman, she could now be believed that she was divorced. However, but if there was independent witnesses that she was a married woman, and she says I was divorced, then if she doesn't have a get or she doesn't have a proof, she's not believed. Amra nishbesi, I was taken as a captive. Now, a captive could be molested. Now, if she's married to Yisrael, it won't make a difference because Yisrael is permitted to an anusa. But if she's married to a kayin is forbidden even if she was violated. So she says nishbesi. Now, we don't have independent testimony that she was a captive. Utayrani, and she says I wasn't molested, nemenes, because hapesha asur hu hapesha hitter. Shapesha asur hu hapesha hitter, the mouth that made her prohibited by her own saying that she was captured, she's believed to say that she wasn't molested. However, if there were witnesses that she was captured, and she says that I was not molested, she's not believed. And in this case, she's not believed, and she would be forbidden to her husband if he was a kohen. But if she says she wasn't molested, and then witnesses came only after she got married to say that she was taken in captivity, we remain with her original testimony that she's innocent. She doesn't have to leave her husband. If two women were taken into captivity, let's say two women, Sarah and Yocheved, and we have witnesses that she was taken into captivity. And at the end, Sarah says, I was taken in captivity, but I was tar. Because they're not believing on their own, because we have independent testimony, so there's no pesha asura pesha hitter. However, if Sarah says Yocheved was not touched, and Yocheved says Sarah was not touched, because the Bishvuya Hekilu, that we accept the testimony of one witness, even an Eved, even an Isha. Two men, two men, this one says he was a Kayan, and this one says he was a Kayan. Now, we don't know what their yichus is. They're not believed, they can't duchen, they can't get truma. However, Ruvain says that Chaim is a Kayan, and Chaim says that Ruvain is a Kayan, then they are believed. Rabbi Yehuda says, Ein malin l'kuna al pi eid echad. We don't elevate a person to kuna on the testimony of one witness. In other words, two witnesses are required. However, Amar Rabbi Lazar, when is that? When two witnesses come and say that he's not a kain, or he was the son of a kain and a divorcee, and therefore he's a chal. But if there are no two witnesses, then malin l'kuna al pi eid echad. Shimon Gamliel adds as follows: Reb Shimon Gamliel Omer mishum Reb Shimon ben Askan malin l'kuna al pi eid echad. If one witness comes and says he's a kohen, then two witnesses come and say he's a ben grushim, ben chalutza, and a chalul, and then another witness comes and says he's a kohen, even though the two didn't come together, we believe them, and the person could be now certified as a kohen. A woman that was taken captivity amongst Goyim. If she was taken al yidei mammon, if she was taken because of money that was owed, so here we're not worried that they violated her, even if she's married to a Kohen, muteres l'bala. She's permitted to her husband because he's afraid to touch her because he wants to get his money. But al yidei nefashos, but if they seized her because they felt that she deserved to die, then asur l'balav, she's forbidden to her husband, and she's forbidden even to her husband Yisrael, because she might have submitted willingly in order to save her life. Ir shekavasha karkain. if a city was conquered by a pogrom or by a marauding army, Kol kahana shenimtzu b'seicha, all kahanas that were married to a kohen that are found inside the city, psulos, because they're assumed to have been violated. V'im yesh lahem edim, but if they have witnesses, afilu eved, afilu shifcha, even a slave or a shifcha that says that they weren't touched, hari elu nemanim. But ve'ein adam neman al yidei atzma, but you're not believed to testify about yourself. She's not believed to testify about herself, and we'll see that the husband is not believed to testify about her either, because the husband is like herself because of Ishtar Kegufay, and the Mishnah tells us a tragic story. Amr Reb Zechariah ben Akatzov, Hama'on Hazeh, he was a kohen, he was together with his wife at a time of a conquering army. He said, Hama'on Hazeh, by the temple, her hand didn't leave my hand, from the time that the Goyim came in, Yerushalayim, until they left. But they told him that unfortunately he can't be believed. You can't be believed about yourself. And since Ishtar is Kegufay, that's like testifying about yourself. The following are believed to testify when they're an adult, about what they saw when they were a minor. A person is believed to say, this is my handwriting of my father that I remember from my youth before I was bar mitzvah, or this was the ksav yad, the handwriting of my rebbe, or because since authenticating signatures is drabanan, it's believed. Zachar Yisib, he could also say, I remember with so-and-so, sheyatza behinuma. I remember the woman, sheyatza behinuma, she went out with a veil, v'roisha perua, with her hair uncovered, and therefore she's entitled to the ksuva of a virgin. V'shayish ploini yotzim bebeis hasefer, and I remember my friend in elementary school, that he went out from school litval to go to the mikvah lechel metruma, to be able to eat truma, and therefore he could testify that he's a kohen. And I also remember they used to give him truma at the threshing floor. He's also believed to say that this place is where there was a grave plowed up, and therefore it has a tumah d'rabbanan and 100 amas in each direction. And until here we used to walk on Shabbos, asserting the tchum Shabbos, which is d'rabbanan. He's not believed to say that Ruvain had a path in this place, because it's a davar shebamammon, and for davar shebamammon you need shnayim. And likewise, he's not allowed to say a mammon or mispad that Ruvain owned an area over here to make mamadis, the 7 starts and stops for a mace, or eulogies for a mace, because again that's a matter of monetary ownership, which you need to have 2 adults. And now we learn the Gemara in Ksuvas as we move along over here on this 3rd day of Mishpotim. So the Gemara, which is from Daf Chav Beis in Ksuvas, Amar Avasi Menayin La Pesha Aser Hu Pesha Hitter Min HaTorah. How do we know that if you're the only information about something restrictive, you're believed also to remove the restriction? How do we know this? Shenema, because it says about a father, as biti nasati l'isha zel isha, I gave my daughter to this man as a woman. So when he says l'a'ish, I gave my daughter, also he asks her to everybody. We don't know who the husband is. Then he says hazeh, this man hitira, he permits her to this man. So he originally asked her, and now he permits her. So the Gemara says, I don't need a pasuk for this. Lamali kra svarihi. It's a simple logic. Who asra? Since he's the only way we know the iser, who sharila. Therefore, he could render it permitted. Because if we listen to the prohibition, we should listen to the permission. Elaki itzter kra. The pasuk is necessary l'kedir Rav Huna Marav, for the teaching of Rav Huna in the name of Rav. Damar Rav Huna Marav. Minayin of shenema lesser as bita min HaTorah. How do we know that a father is believed to prohibit his daughter? Shenemer as biti nasati lish. I gave my daughter to this man. Hazel lamali. What do I need hazeh for? Obviously, we believe him to say which one, because apesha asu apesha hitter. What does hazeh come to teach me? Mebayle the Tani Rabbi Yaina. The Tani Rabbi Yaina as biti nasati lish hazeh. Hazeh is a miyat. Hazeh, the din of Moitzi Shemra, that we penalize the husband when he says loy matzasi besulim, when he maligns her and says that he didn't find her to be a virgin, and if it's not true, we give him a knas of 100. That's true by a husband v'loy yavam. It's not true by a yavam. That means if Sarah falls to the yavam Shimon, and Shimon claims that when she was married to my brother, he didn't find besulim, and that's found to be untrue, we don't give him a knas. And that we learn from Hazeh and not the Yavam. Tan Rabbanan. Ha'isha she'amra eishes ishani, a woman that says, I was a married woman, the chazva amra pnuyani, and then she says, I'm not married. Nemenes. So the Gemara says, what do you mean? Once she said she's married, she made herself a chaticha di yisura. V'shavyan l'nafsha chaticha di yisura. She made herself forbidden. And how could she back out? How could she backtrack? When she gave a reasonable explanation why originally she said she was married. She says, I was married. And then she says, I was unmarried. She did not believe. You can't change your story. However, she gave a reasonable explanation of why she first said she was married. What's a reasonable explanation? There was an adult woman. She was very pretty. And people were jumping to be mekadesh her, pressuring her, and she didn't want them. And she said, I'm married already. After a while, she went and accepted kedushin from a good man. So the Chacham said, what are you doing? You said you're married. When empty people came and pressured me to be married, I told them I was married. To get them off my back. Now that I have a worthy suitor, I went and accepted kedushin. And this halacha was raised by Rav Acha, the captain of the manor, before the Chacham in Usha. She gives a good explanation. So Shmuel inquired of Rav, if a woman tells her husband, I'm a nida, and then she says the next night that she starved, Mao, and she uses an amasla. She gave a good explanation and said she was tummy the night before because she wasn't feeling well and she didn't want to get into a whole discussion with him. She's believed. So Shmuel repeated it 40 times in order to remember it. When this happened with his own wife, that she said she was Tameya, and then the next night that she said she was Ta'ira, and she used in a masla that she just wasn't feeling well, Shmuel didn't depend on it, and he wasn't with her until she went to the mikveh. Now the next Zayar talks about a Yesod that's a very great Yesod. And that is that the Kol HaTorah is really Kula Shemas HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Torah is really all Shemas of Hashem. And that's why, remember, when Moshe Rabbeinu was up in Shemayim, the Malachim said, Tna hoitcha b'Shemayim. Keep your glory in heaven. And Moshe Rabbeinu said, do you have parents to honor? You know, what are you going to do with the Torah? What was the truth? Why did the Malachim want the Torah? The Torah doesn't have any punctuation. It doesn't have any nekudas. And therefore the Torah could be rearranged differently to read as Shemos of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And that's the Torah that the Malachim wanted. Now here the Zohar says, Davar achar, u'b'chol asher amarti aleichem tishameru. All that I tell you, you should guard. Rabbi Yehuda Pasach, Rabbi Yehuda started a drasha, Shma ami v'idabach, listen my nation, I will testify before you, Lo yevacha el zar, you shouldn't have any foreign god. Anoichi Hashem alikecha, I am Hashem amalcha me'eretz Mitzrayim. Hani Kron Amorin David Beruach Kutsha. These psukim David HaMelech said Beruach HaKodesh. V'islis takulei behu, and you should analyze it. Shmami, listen, my nation. Bekama asmin azra araisa levarnosh. Many places Hashem warns man. Bekama asmin kutsha berichu azra bebarnash. V'kula to'alta de barnash. In many places Hashem warns people all for man's benefit. Begin the yintar pikudei araisa, that they should be very careful to keep the mitzvahs of a Torah. Why? The kol man the yintar orchei daraisa, whoever heeds the ways of the Torah, v'ishtadl and works to keep its mitzvahs, keman de ishtadl b'shma kedisha. It's as if they are working and honoring with Hashem's name, because the whole Torah is shemus HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So when you keep the Torah and guard its mitzvahs, you are really guarding Hashem's name. The Taninan, Oraisa Kula Shma de Kutshabrichu. The Torah itself is all names of Hashem. Oman de Mishtadlba, and one who works to fulfill the Torah is Keman de Mishtadl b'Shma Kadisha. It's mamish working with Hashem's holy name. Begin the Oraisa Kula Chad Shma Kadishu. The Torah itself is all names of Hashem. Shma Ilah, elevated name, Shma de Kol Shman, a name that includes all names. Man de Gora Ischad Minei, one who is missing one letter, or as we'll see, or adds one letter, Ki'ilu Aved Pigimusa Bishma Kadisha. It's as if he makes a blemish in Hashem's name. Tana V'Shem Elohim Achayim Lo Saskiru. A name of other gods you shouldn't mention. Lo toisef al araisa, don't add to the Torah, v'lo tigra minai. Because if you add to the Torah or detract from the Torah, you are blemishing the shame of Hashem of the Torah. Reb Chia Amar v'shem Elohim acherim, and the names of other gods. Dom man di yisasek b'sifrin acharon. This is one who occupies himself with secular books. The law mesiter daraisa, not from the way of the Torah. Lo yeshama al picha, it shouldn't be heard on your mouth. Da'asar afilu l'atker line. These svarim chitzainis you shouldn't even mention. Ulameilif minayot time, or to learn from them ways to live. Kol shechein al araisa, or to have them pontificate about the Torah. Chas v'shalom, because the Torah is shemus of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. These svarim acherim are Elohim acherim. Rabbi Yehuda Masni Achi, Rabbi Yehuda taught as follows: my time eksiv v'shem Elohim acherim, and it talks about other gods, in other words, idolatry. It was smichle es chag hamatzos tishmar, and next to it, it says you should keep the chag hamatzos. What's the connection between Pesach and idolatry? Ela mandala noter hai, one that does not keep Pesach, mandala noter me'emnusa de kutshabrichu. It's like he doesn't keep belief in Hashem, because after all, we know that Pesach is the Chag HaAmunah. My time of mishum debei achido mila, because in Pesach is the grasping of Amunah. That's when we believe that Hashem v'lakachti eschem li la'am, and that we're b'ni b'chayri Yisrael, and that we're mamlechas kahanim b'gai kadosh. And that's true also for other times like Rosh Chodesh and the festivals. All of these times, these moedim, remember moed is a vad, a meeting between us and Hashem. And therefore these times are all seizing in the shame of the Rebbeinu Shalom. And when you blemish them, you're blemishing in Hashem's name. What does it mean, shalosh pa'am b'ashana? Yera kol zechurcha es pnei ha'odon Hashem, to see Hashem, mishum debahat talim emnusa, because this activity is connected to having faith in Hashem. Now it's interesting, it says, Yera kol zechurcha, all males should appear. That the mitzvah of Aliyah L'Regel is on the males. Why the males? Amai kol zechurcha. So it's interesting. Amar Rabbi Lazar, kol zechurcha mamish doesn't only mean male, but it's referring to the zechurcha, the male organ, because the Indian is for the one who has the bris kodesh to come at the time of Aliyah L'Regel, where there's a shefa bracha from what's called Mabua de Nachala, which is the Midah, the Bechina of Side, which is connected to the Bris Kodesh. Begin the Natlin Birchasa, because blessing comes Mabua de Nachala from the Bechina of Side, which is to Zechurcha, to those that have Bris Kodesh. Mikan Taninan Kol Bar Yisrael is Kazar, any Yid who has circumcision, Boilis Chazar Kamei Malka Kaddish has to appear before the holy king 3 times a year. Begin the Natal Birchasa Mimabur de Nachala from the Bechina of Yisrael, and how do the Chsiv Kibirchas Hashem Alikecha, the blessing of Hashem your God, Asher Nasan Lach, which He gives you. Now, the Musar section over here advises us how to go to sleep and not to chas v'shalom have nocturnal pollution, moitzi zera, have a wet dream. So therefore, kishiroitza lishka balayla, when a person wants to go to sleep in the night, yizor likrois kriya shema shalamita kaigan, he should say kriya shema alamita properly, teva b'teva, word for word, v'sei the kriya shema kakasa b'svarim, with all of the details that it says to say, and Kriya Shema Lamita, v'yaymer vidui, and to repent, k'kasab sham, u'betchilas shavasai, and in the beginning of his sleep, im yachol, if he can, yahara eze pasuk or dvar Torah, he should think about a pasuk or some thought of Torah, v'hu te'elis gedayla, and it's a great assistance, linatzel mikeri, to be saved from nocturnal pollution. Yashen mamish mitach divrei Torah. He's going to sleep in the midst of divrei Torah. Ve'etz chaimi, it's a tree of life to protect him. Lidavek b'chaim. V'azhara shamanu, and we've heard a warning, advice, which the Rambam brings in Hilchos Deis. Ki batchila shchiva, that when one starts to sleep, yishan al sad smel, he should lay on his left side. Besides, for hygienic reasons, it's a good idea to start sleeping on the left side. Because we know that the smell is midas adin. So when he lays on it, he's machnia tzad smell. He humbles the left side. And we know that the reverse is always true. Kitam litzad, just like if he lies on the left side, it's machnia, the midas adin. Kein hashoichev outside yamin, if he lies on the right side, it elevates magbit tzad smoila b'asai, it elevates the left side, which is midas adin. V'loy achaz likra loy rachman litzlan, and it could seize him to have impact on him. May God save us. Now, he should be especially careful when he's trying to do tshuva for this sin, because one who is already a sinner and is a sinner, they're not so careful, al smol shu yamin, that he should lie on the left, which therefore elevates the right. About tshuva, but one who is a penitent and therefore is trying to better himself, right from acharav, he is being chased by the Yetzer Hara, b'tzarach lizar, and he should be careful to start the night lying on the left side. And finally, we learn from the Rambam in Hilchos Kriya Shema, Misha oya oisik b'l malacha, if somebody is working in the morning, mafsik at sheyikra parsha rishayna kula, he should stop what he's doing until he says Shema, until Chsaftam al-Mezuzah Beisecha v'Shirecha of the first parasha. V'cheino umnin, and also hired workers, b'teilim u'malachtim u'parsha v'shayna, they should stop what they're doing, the whole parsha v'shayna, kedei shaloi tei kriyas and arai, even though you only need a kavanah in the first pasuk, but you should stop the whole first chapter. It shouldn't look like you're doing something in a temporary way. V'ashar, but the rest, he could continue v'yim shmaya and v'yaymer, even v'yisik v'malachta, even while he's doing his work. Even if he's on the top of a tree or on top of a wall where it's hard to have kavanah for a long time, he doesn't have to go down, he could say where he is, because for the first pasuk of Shema Yisrael, he could concentrate, even though he can't concentrate well for a whole parsha, he doesn't have to go down, and he makes the bracha before and afterwards. If he was learning, and V'giyazman Kriya Shema, so we know Gadol Talmud Talmud Mavil Day Maisa. So you have to stop your learning. Paisek v'kayim mavach lefanei al-achrei. You should stop his learning and say Kriya Shema with the brachas before and afterwards. It's Rabbin, but if he's doing the needs of the community, let's say he's being involved in helping that people shouldn't fall on the road, and he's clearing the road, he's clearing snow from the front of the shul, he's helping in Pidyon Shvuyim, then lo yafsik, because Isaac b'mitzvah patim mitzvah, ela yigmar iskayim, he should finish what he's doing, and then v'yikare, and then he should say Kriya Shema nisher eis l'kreis, if there's time left to say Kriya Shema. If he was eating or he was in the bathhouse, taking a haircut, or he's turning over the hides in their solution, or he's in a court case, he should finish and then say Kriya Shema. But if he won't have time, if he was afraid that he might miss the time, Pasak Bikara, and he stops and says Kriya Shema, he is praised. We want to thank you very much for joining us for this fantastic Chok. Thank you for coming, and have a wonderful day.